So we tried 3 different kinds of powders. We tried N565, Rotumbo, H1000. We're all running 140 grain Nosler ballistic tips. And I wrote everything down, but it seems like everybody likes to see off of the Garmin anymore. So we have 17 shots for N565. 2918.3 was our minimum. Our average was 31,110. Our max was 3314. So we did hit 3,300 feet per second, which was a heavy bolt from our notes. Heavy bolt 3314.6. And this is our grouping. Now, these shots are all done at 100, and the grouping itself doesn't really matter. What we try to focus on here is how narrow and how fat that spread is, right? We're all consistently aiming at the same target, and the bullets go wherever they go due to heat and the powder charge. These particular ones were all done in half grain increments. So we started off 2918 for our very first shot, 3,000, almost 3,000 feet per second with a Magnum cartridge, which is pretty good. And the reason why 3,000 is kind of the mark I wanted to really focus on at minimum was everybody talks about the 6.5 PRC, and they have this thing in their mind where it's probably the best ultimate target shooting hunting rifle combination when it comes to the 264 diameter bullets, 264 diameter cartridges, 6.5 calibers, whatever you would prefer to say. And really what I'm showing you here is it just depends on the powder, it depends on your barrel length, and depends on what your goal is. So my goal here is this is a hunting rifle. I want it to go pretty fast, flat shooting. I want it to have the capabilities of taking elk and black bear if I wanted to, but it's mostly going to be for mule deer sized animals to begin with. So again, N565, pretty nice grouping. Overall, about 100 yards, we've got 4 or 5 right here that are easily touching and all within just a grain or 2 of powder charge. So there's a node there, means that's what the barrel likes. So here is Rotumbo, which is a very slow burning powder. It did very well. You can ignore those because it doesn't matter. Remember, this is not an accuracy grouping, this is showing you what the barrel likes. So much of it is centered right here and into the same hole. That's a good sign. The more that's more concentrated, the better. But that means you need to know the powder charges for those, which is why those things are written down. And then here is H1000. And it did pretty well as well over here. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming over here to our second shot group. So our first one, again, broke 3,300, and we did have heavy bolt lifts. That's where we stopped. So I don't need to have 3,300 feet per second out of that barrel. I just showed that you could do it. And that was kind of the point here. So we'll go down to the next session. Or, you know, it's, again, these are not just the show like ES, SD, but it's showing that we can guarantee a certain velocity with all these powders. Regardless, it just kind of depends on what the barrel likes for the node and like what charge we should do. So with Rotumbo, our session was 11 shots because they were 1 grain increments. Minimum was 2939, average was 3106, max was 3249, and if I remember right, 3249, we had a little bit of ejector marks just starting. So again, 3250 essentially, because it's 0.8, is smoking hot. That's screaming. And with a 140 grain 6.5 cartridge. So, you know, so to give you a good idea, 6.5 Creedmoor is going to be something like 2,800 if you're lucky. 6.5 PRC can get up to 3,000. Generally speaking, most people aren't going to run a 26-inch barrel, so that's going to be their mark. Then the 264 I'm showing you, I can load it down to 6.5 Creedmoor and shoot it all day if I want to, or I can load it hot on the heels even of a 6.5 300 Weatherby. But really where it shines is between 3150 and 3250. So the idea here is use these slower Magnum powders and not the Creedmoor and PRC powders typically. You can use these ones in the PRC if you'd like, but they don't burn as effectively. And then of course H1000 here. So H1000 here has it set for 11 shots, again, 1 grain increments, 2864 all the way to 3239. And that's pretty good. So the ladder test has been done. We'll pick out our nodes and then we'll try to finalize and make some loads up to test out for grouping. But that'll be on a full different video. So we've already covered factory ammo. We just did our ladder testing. This will be a really short just update video. And then we'll go off and try making a grouping. And we'll talk a little bit about reloading for the channel as a whole, as well as factory ammo stuff for hunters and shooters alike. All right, guys, so here we are with our 264, that classic maple Model 70, super grade. We're going to talk a little bit how I like to clean rifles while we're doing this, just so if anybody's curious, you can skip this part. If not, enjoy it. So the first thing we always do is we take out the bolt. That alone makes sure we have nothing down the chamber, right? See straight down the barrel, there's no brass. And if I'm cleaning the barrel itself, I'm going to be rough, right? We're scrubbing with brushes. We're also going to use a jag of some sort. You can use, there's different kinds of jags. They also have this style. The silver is a coating that allows it to essentially be foolproof. When we use different chemicals to clean out the carbon, there's going to be copper on the rifling as well, right? Now, I already know there's probably going to be some issues when I say this, but I actually like having copper in my barrel. I personally do. It seems that for me, most of the rifles I have shot in my life, I actually prefer a little bit of copper fouling in there. So all I do is I remove the carbon. Vortex C4 carbon remover, I've been using that for a couple years and I've really enjoyed it. I will say, even though this says carbon remover, it does remove some copper. It's pretty powerful stuff. It's environmentally friendly and it doesn't smell bad. It actually smells like pine sol in a way. No ammonia. It's nice. So I've already cleaned the rifle. I've already gone through and done a bunch of patches. You know, here's one of the dirty patches. As you can see, real black, lots of carbon, right? Not a ton, but you see a little blue, if you can, right there in the center. That's the copper. So that's what happens with these patches. They turn a little blue when you hit copper. So eventually, you know, you get a bunch of dirty ones. They eventually come out. And then you start getting into some cleaner ones that have really minor carbon coming off, but they get this like bluish tinge. That means you're mostly on copper at that point. And so I usually let it soak and I scrub a little bit more. And then you get one that's pretty much all blue, right? There's a little tiny bit of carbon there in the center. And it's important to recognize once it's only blue, that's all copper. And so for me, I'm done cleaning. That's for a hunting rifle, that's what it gets. That's what I prefer. That means also there is copper, right? From the rifling all the way through the barrel. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that, in fact. So those who are running borescopes, you're probably going, it's not clean. No, it's clean to what I want. And that's what I want. So to each their own, right? Everybody has their own way of doing it. I personally also like to take a moment and I'll, you can see the brass right there. Left a nice indent from one of the pressure charges, as well as all that fouling. So I'll take a nice brush and scrub all that out and then it'll be good. And that's my cleaning process. And with the power of editing, look at that. Cleaned pretty well. There's still a little carbon on there, but So we'll take this, we'll put the rifle back together, and that's it for this update video. So what did we talk about? We talked about how we did our powder charging test to see which powder shot the best in this cartridge with this rifle. We tried H1000, we tried Rotumbo, and N565, right? These particular ones. And because of that, we now know which ones and which load ranges, the amount of powder we should try to make groups out of and see what it shoots and eventually what it likes. And gave you a tidbit on how I like to clean a rifle and why. And our little update will be, we've got a bunch of brass that came in that I am hoping to try for several different cartridges. And I'm hoping to try this company out. I've heard great things. But we'll see, you know, if it's just a rumor or if they actually hold up to their merit. So, till next time, and next time will probably be groups. Shoot straight and tight lines ahead. Take care.